Hello everyone, good afternoon. So this is Nafiza. I'm student consultant of Hassle Free Education. So if you can hear me properly, can you please type in the chat box yes? Okay, please type in the chat box yes. Okay, thank you Mehdi, Muzibur. Thank you so much for your responses. So first of all, welcome everyone to this first class of 7-day speaking challenge. So how many of are you excited for this first class? Can you please type in the chat box yes if you are really excited, or please type in the chat box excited. I would like to see how many of are you excited for the first class. Please type in the chat box excited. Okay, I can see so many comments. Okay, thank you so everyone for your cordial responses. So trust me, this 7 days challenge is going to change your life. And here you will get the chance to make your speaking fluent. So all you need to do is attend all of the 7 classes and complete all of the homeworks assigned by the instructor. And after completing all of these, what you will get? You will get two things. First is an exclusive class with British native teacher and an official certificate on spoken. So if you don't want to miss this, please be attentive to the classes and make sure to turn your video on because this is the mandatory rule for this course. So please turn your video on. I would like to request all of you, please turn your video on and have pen and paper with you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. So yeah, so now who is going to be your instructor? Do you have any guesses? Who is going to be your instructor? I mean, who is going to take your classes? So do you have any guesses? Okay, so your instructor is going to be Mr. Ahsan Habib sir, who is currently joining us from London, directly from London. Can you imagine? So your instructor is going to conduct your classes from London, and he completed his master's from Birmingham City University in the UK. Now he owns a company worth of multi-millions, and the company has different branches in different cities or in different countries. So he and his team is helping students to study in different countries like UK, US, and Canada. So if you have the same dream, I think you are on the right page. So without any further ado, I would like to request all of you to stand up because we are going to welcome our instructor. So can you please stand up like me? So please stand up. I would like to request stand up and welcome our instructor. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Please stand up and welcome our teacher, Mr. Ahsan Habib sir. Sir, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Welcome to 7 Days Speaking Challenge, ladies and gentlemen. So Nafiza, can you please just pin me up so that everyone can see me? So please stay standing if you can hear me properly. The first question I'm going to ask you, please raise your hand if you want to speak English fluently. Let's see how many of you would like to. Okay. So please again raise your hand if you'd like to have a better score in IELTS exam. Let's see how many of you would like to get a better score in IELTS exam. Okay, a lot. And the last question is, so okay, I got it. I understand you don't like to be a student in foreign countries. So who would like to get a job in multinational company? Raise your hand. I'd like to see how many of you are here for that reason. Okay, and the last question is, okay, you don't love to go for multinational company. How many of you would like to go to get a government job in Bangladesh? Just raise your hand, please. I'd like to see how many. Okay, excellent. So by the way, let me pull it up first of all. Nafisa, can you please just pin me up so that everyone can see me? I'm not sure it's still they can. However, as you know, my name is Ahsan Habib, and I'd like to share with you a lot of story through this course so that you can understand where I'm from. So I'm originally from Bangladesh, and I barely passed in SSC in English subject, and SSC same way, right? And after that, I studied history, and then okay, let me find it out, because if you don't see me properly, it's gonna be Okay, it's still, here you go. Got it, got it. Here you go. I think now you can see me properly. And I'd like to get the, what is called, I'd like to take the background out so that you can see me properly. Okay, got it. I think you can see me now. There you go. So what I was saying is, so I barely passed in English in my SSC and HSC. Then the first year, when a lot of you probably tried a lot to get into the university, and I didn't have any chance at any university. And the second year, I got a chance at University of Chittagong. Let me see if anyone is here who is studying at university right now. So raise your hand if you are studying at university right now. I'd like to see how many of you would like to study at university. Okay, okay, got it, got it. So now, then what I did, I studied history. I completed my honors and masters from there. Then I flew to the UK to study at Birmingham City University. That was a little bit of intro of myself. So now, as Nafisa mentioned, that you are the equal of your dream. So if you cannot dream big, you cannot achieve a lot, right? So only one thing that was always scared me a lot was I was dreaming big. And then I flew to the UK. I moved from a student visa to business visa, which was called entrepreneurship at that time. And then I built a multi-million pound business in the UK, right? So now, I'd like to ask you one question. So who is believing that after finishing this course, you will start speaking fluently? I'd like to see, please type in the chat box me. I'd like to see how many of you really believe that after finishing this course, you're gonna speak English fluently. So, okay, just I'm really curious to see how many of you are really excited to speak English after finishing this course. Okay. Okay, okay. So today, this session is not gonna be only to teach you English. It's gonna be a lot of things teaching up from my life experience as well. So who are really excited to get a lot of lessons from the life experience as well. So please type in the chat box excited. I'd like to see how many of you really excited to know a lot and to implement it in your life so that in your life, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. Just, okay, got it, got it, got it. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. So now, in this 7-day challenge, so as I mentioned, a lot of things will be going through. Probably that's gonna sound weird. Probably you don't like to do it, but still I'll encourage you to do it with me, right? So first of all, I'd like to ask you one more question is, who is ready? Who is ready to do a lot of crazy things right now? Please type in the chat box, R-E-A-D-Y, ready, ready. Yeah, just type in the chat box ready. How many of you'd like to, okay, got it. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for responding. So now, if you're really ready, please show me your pen and paper. I'd like to see how many of you have got pen and paper with you. Just show me on the camera. I'd like to see how many of you have got pen and paper ready. Okay, got it, got it. Thank you. Thanks for showing that. Okay, now I would like to request you. If you haven't turned on your video right now, please do that. That's gonna help you a lot. Turn on your video. I'd like to see everyone else's face, right? So, okay, got it. So someone said, I'm shy, I'm on train. Okay, that's fine. When you are feel free, so just turn on a video because it's gonna help me a lot to understand, to communicate to you better, right? So now, the first thing I'm gonna start with is who is ready to jump, right? Who is ready to dance and who is ready to run? So this lesson is going to be involved a lot of physical exercise. And I'm going to share you in a minute why I'm going to do that. Okay, by the way, probably you are thinking all the time I'm going to speak in English. No. In the last few bases, what I found is after having fast classes, I mean, students vanished away. And I was listening to them and I asked them what's the reason to do it. And they said, your instruction in English, you always speak in English, that's why we cannot understand you. I said, okay, what I can do for that? And he said, probably you can speak and you can just explain a little bit in Bengali. So sometimes I'll speak in Bengali as well, right? So who want me to speak in Bengali as well? Please type in the chat box Bengali. Dekhi ke Banglaয় sometimes instruction chat. Let's just type in the chat box Bengali. Okay, got it. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. So now, as you have got pen and paper, the first thing I'd like to start with is, okay, who'd like to have success in your life? Please type in the chat box success. I'd like to see how many of you would like to have success in your life. Please type in the chat box success. Okay. Atik says success. Okay. Shozun says success. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Zakir says success. Okay. Noyan says success. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. So if you'd like to have success in your life, you got to understand what does success mean and where it's coming from, right? So success is all about two things. How many? Type in the chat box, please. Success is all about two things. Type in the chat box. If you'd like to have a lot of success in your life, there are two things you need to consider. How many things? Please type in the chat box. If you'd like to have a lot of success in your life, massive success in your life, you got to have two things in your life. Please type in the chat box. How many things? Yeah, that's right. Only two things. Number one is psychology. Type in the chat box, psychology. It's going to be very difficult for you to spell it, right? So, দেখতে চাই কে psychology right explain করতে পারে. Can you remember in our childhood we learned sasoe, pishi cholo jai, psychology. So please type in the chat box psychology, right? So psychology is 80%. Psychology is 80%. So if you'd like to get success in your life, you got to understand psychology is 80%. Please type in the chat box 80%. I'd like to make sure you understand what I am saying, right? So জীবনে সফলতার জন্য আমাদের দুইটা জিনিস দরকার. Number one is psychology. That's 80% and 20% is mechanism. Please type in the chat box mechanism. I'd like to see how many of you really understand what I'm saying right now. দেখি কে আমাকে বুঝেন, right? So please type in the chat box mechanism. That means strategy. So the first one is psychology and the second one is mechanism. So the combination of psychology and mechanism, that's how is going to help you to bring the success in your life, right? Psychology is 80% and mechanism or strategy is 20%, right? So now, can you please type in the chat box, psychology plus mechanism equals success. I'd like to see how many of you are really following me, right? Psychology plus mechanism equals success. Type in the chat box. দ্রুত একটু টাইপ করে ফেলি, psychology plus mechanism equals success. I'd like to see in the comment box, psychology plus mechanism equals success, right? So I'm so sorry, we have got only 100 seats here, and if your friends cannot enter into the Zoom room, please advise them to go to the YouTube video, and we are streaming live what that they can join from there, right? So psychology plus mechanism equals success, right? Psychology plus mechanism equals success. Psychology plus mechanism equals success. Okay, got it. Thank you. Right. Psychology plus mechanism equals success. Okay. Got it. Everyone got it. So if you really understood it, please type in the chat box understood. I'd like to see how many of you really understood. একটু দেখতে চাই কয়জনে 100% understood করেছেন. Okay. Psychology plus mechanism equals success. If you really understood it, please type in the chat box understood. Okay, and now this is very, very important, right? You got to understand the percentage. So can you please type in the chat box, 80% plus 20% equal 100%. I'd like to see. Type in the chat box, please. 80 plus 20 equals 100. So psychology is 80%, 20% is mechanism. Okay, got it? Equals 100%. Okay, okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Please type in the chat box, 80 plus 20 equals 100. So you understand the percentage of both things, psychology and mechanism, right? Okay, now, recently, I was supposed to start this course probably 1 or 2 days before, but I couldn't do it because I had a training and it's called Business Mastery. Type in the chat box what I just said, Business Mastery, right? Type in the chat box, Business Mastery. So in that course, right, there was 5 days long and it started from 2 o'clock in the afternoon and it finishes like 5:30 in the morning. So it's a marathon course, right? And I was so excited. And can you guess how much I paid for this course? Please type in the chat box. If you can guess how much I paid for Business Mastery course, just type in the chat box in pound. How much? Just gaze and type in the chat box. Dekhi apnara guess kore bolte paren kina how much I paid for that course. Type in the chat box. I'd like to see. Okay, someone said 1,000 full funded. Okay, anybody else? 200 GBP, no idea. Okay, 1,300 pounds. Okay, got it. Thank you. So though I live in the UK and the currency is pound sterling, but the program is delivered from America. So his name is Tony Robin and he charged me $12,000. If you really heard me right, please type in the chat box $12,000. Right? I have learned so many things from that, and that's gonna change my whole life, right? So I'd like to share a lot of things from there as well so that you can implement it. Probably if you implement 1, 2, or 3 things, probably that's gonna change your life, right? So who is excited? Type in the chat box excited. I'd like to see who is excited. Type in the chat box excited. Okay, got it. Thank you. Thanks for typing. So now what I'm gonna share with you is very, very phenomenal, right? So Tony Robin, whom I paid $12,000, he taught me one thing. He said, Habib, if you'd like to achieve something in your life, and all you got to do is you got to reach your peak state, right? Please type in the chat box, peak state, P-E-A-K, peak state. Type in the chat box. He said, if you'd like to achieve something in your life, you got to reach there, and that's called peak state, right? So the same thing I'm going to share with you is, and same thing I'm going to recommend you. So if you'd like to achieve something in your life, you got to stay in a peak state. So once you get peak state, you can almost achieve everything, whatever you want to achieve, right? So all you got to do is you got to stay in peak state. Now, so if you don't understand what does the peak state mean, that's absolutely fine because we're gonna stay there, right? So how are we gonna go to the peak state? And he said one thing is, all you got to do is you need to pump your blood. Type in the chat box, pump your blood. So that's the thing he shared with me. And he didn't only share with me, he helped us to do that with him, right? Pump your blood. So if you can circulate your blood in the whole body, that means you are getting a lot of energy. And once you get a lot of energy, you can hit and you can achieve whatever you want to achieve, right? So today, what are you gonna do? We're gonna pump our blood, right? So can you remember I told you that you got to run, you got to jump, you got to dance with me. So today, the first exercise you're gonna do, right? So what are you gonna do? We're gonna pump our blood. So once we pump our blood, then we're gonna get into the lesson. Are you clear? So if you really understood me and if you're clear, please type in the chat box clear, C-L-E-A-R. Okay, so if you didn't understand me in English, so I'm sharing it in Bengali as well. So এখন যেটা আমরা করতে যাচ্ছি সেটা হলো আমরা আমাদের ব্লাড পাম্প করব। How we gonna do that? We're gonna do some physical exercise. That means physical exercise এর মাধ্যমে আমরা শরীরের blood circulation যেটা সেটা করব। Then when we stay in a peak state, যখন আমরা peak state এ পৌঁছবো, then we jump into the lesson. Are you ready? If you are ready, please type in the chat box READY. READY, right? Okay, a lot of people are ready. Okay, and also I recommended you to have some water with you because you got to stay hydrated, right? So if you have got some water around you, please show your water bottle. I'd like to see how many of you have got some sort of water with you. Okay, excellent, excellent, thank you. So the first physical exercise we're gonna do is we're gonna run, right? So I have started class, 8 o'clock in the morning. So what I was thinking, what if I'm gonna run with you as well, right? So how are we gonna run? So that's why, I got my tracksuit with you so that I can run with you. So now what I'm gonna do, I'll show you how to run, and then you need to run with us. And once I feel it that we are on the peak state, then we're gonna jump into the session, right? So it's better if you just pump your blood, circulate your blood around the body, and get into your peak state within short period of time. Then you're gonna jump into the lesson. Are you ready? Okay, I got it. You are ready. So this is how we're gonna run, right? So all you need to do is you need to take your left leg a bit front, and then all you got to do, you need to move your hand like this, right? This, right? So once you start, so we're gonna keep running at least 60 seconds. And after that, we're gonna move our leg. So we're gonna come to the right front leg, and then again, we're gonna start running. So this is how. So if you understand and if you exactly follow me, right? So up to this level, you need to move your hand. So just, you don't have to touch it, just like this, right? So here you go. So this is how you need to start, right? So if I say 3, 2, 1, go. If I say go, you need to start running with me, and we're gonna run for 60 seconds, and then we're gonna change our leg. Then we're gonna again run 60 seconds. Then we're gonna jump into the session, right? So type in the chat box if you really understood what I just said. So if you really understood what I just said, please type in the chat box what do you need to do. I'd like to see. What do we need to do right now? Type in the chat box. Type in the chat box RUN. I'd like to see how many of you really understood. If you really understood, please type in the chat box RUN, right? Are you ready? So all you got to do is you need to stand up. Please stand up, everyone. And we are ready for run, right? So we're gonna run for 60 seconds on the left-hand side and 60 seconds for right-hand side. Then we're gonna jump into the session. Okay, got it? Got it, thank you. So now, as you're ready, what I'm gonna do, I'll put some sort of music as well so that you can run with me. Here you go. Let me find out the music. Oh, all right. So, yeah. Here you go. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. This is start. Run, run. Shake the leg, shake the leg. Keep running, don't stop. Right, thank you. So I'd like to see how many of you already had a run. Please type in the chat box, I ran. I'd like to see, okay, how many of you really enjoyed it? Okay, so I believe right now, so you pumped your blood and you are in peak state. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna jump into the session. The first thing we're gonna share with you is, okay, we're gonna start from the very beginning, right? From very beginning. So we're gonna start with the subjects. So if you understand me, can you please type in the chat box, what are the subjects we are using in our speaking? I'm really curious. Please type in the chat box, what are the subjects we really use in our speaking while we are having conversation? Please type in the chat box, what are the subjects? Type in the chat box. What are the subjects we are using in our daily speaking? So type in the chat box, what are the subjects? Okay, so I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to type it. So what are the subjects we are using for our speaking? Type in the chat box. Okay, got it. Thank you. So now, okay, thanks for sharing. So now grab your pen and paper, please. Take your pen and paper. So যাদের কাছে হাতের কাছে so কলম এবং কাগজ আছে, please jot it down quickly, right? So jot it down. So subject, can you please write down subject and make it a box. Subject লিখে সেটাকে একটা বক্সের মধ্যে রাখেন. Then can you please write down I, we, you, they, he, she, it, Tony. Just I'd like to see how many of you can write it very quickly. So please write down subject. Then please write down under the subject I, we, you, they, he, she, it, Tony. I'd like to see how many of you have written it. So if you have written it, can you please show on the camera? I'd like to see who has written it. Okay, got it. So all you need to do is you need to write it down like this, right? So let me show my part so that you can understand. Like this. Can you see? Subject, then I, we, you, he, she, it, they, Tony. So this is how. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna share my screen in a minute so that you can understand what I mean by that. Right? Here you go. So all you need to do is you need to get some sort of subjects like this, right? So subject I, we, you, they, he, she, it, Tony, right? So this is how I need to write it down. So please write down subject. So first of all, you need to write down subject, and under the subject you need to write down I, we, you, they, he, she, it, Tony. So all you got to do is you need to just write it down. Okay. Okay, I believe that you have written it down. So now what I'm gonna do, so this is a little bit of technical stuff. So I'm gonna unmute yourself, and once I unmute yourself, you need to read them loud with me, right? জোরে জোরে আমার সাথে একটু কোরাস করতে হবে. For example, we're going to start with something like this. 3, 2, 1, go. And I need to start with me. I, we, you, they, he, she, Tony, right? So who is ready to do some sort of practice? Please type in the chat box ready. I'd like to see how many of you are really ready to practice with me. So now I'm going to unmute yourself. So when I unmute yourself, you'll see a notification. All you got to do is you need to click unmute button, and then you need to start practicing with me. Okay. So once I'm going to click the unmute yourself, so you're going to have a notification. সবাই একটা নোটিফিকেশন পাবেন, unmute yourself. So click the unmute. যখন আপনি unmute click করবেন, then I can hear you, right? So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to unmute yourself. Don't start until I say to start, right? So when I say go, you need to give me all the subjects. So you need to say I, we, you, they, he, she, it, Tony. So please unmute yourself.
I, we, you,
Thank you. Don't start until I say to go. So once I say go, you need to keep going with me, right? Don't start until I say তখন পর্যন্ত শুরু করবেন না যতক্ষণ পর্যন্ত আমি বলি go. যখনই go বলবো, then you need to start with me, right? I think you got it. So now again, what I'm gonna do, I'll request you unmute. Please unmute yourself. 3, 2, 1, go. Thank you. Thanks a lot. So now I'm gonna share a lot of things with you right now. Okay. So now, did you feel it that when I started asking you to give me some sort of subjects like I, you, they, he, she, and you feel some sort of inertia in your mouth, and that's why you couldn't speak, right? যখন আমি আপনাদেরকে বলছি যে সব সাবজেক্টগুলো আমাকে দেন, a lot of people, I mean a lot of you struggle a lot. অনেকে struggle করেছেন to deliver the simple subjects, right? So that's why I'd like to request you one thing is the more you speak, the more you're gonna be fluent. Please type in the chat box. It's a long sentence though. Type in the chat box. So Avir, you feel sleepy, I understand. You got to run a lot, right? With me next time. So again, can you please type in the chat box? The more you speak, the more you're gonna become fluent. Type in the chat box. The more you speak, the more you become fluent. Type in the chat box. The more you speak, the more you're gonna become fluent, right? Yeah, I'd like to see. যত আপনি speaking করবেন, তত আপনি speaking এ fluent হবেন, right? So you got to understand it. And if you don't speak, why are you here, right? You are here to be a very good speaker, fluent speaker. And if you don't speak, how are you gonna be a good speaker? So that's why when I ask you to speak, you got to speak with me, right? So I think you really understood what I mean by that. So again, I'm gonna put the subject here so that you can see it, and then you can start speaking with me. So same thing I'm gonna do. I will unmute yourself, all of you, and you got to give me these subject, all of them, right? So are you ready? If you're ready, please unmute yourself. 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start.
I,
Thank you. So it got to be a group. It got to be the same voice. So once I say go, you got to start speaking, and once I say stop, you got to stop, right? যখন আমি শুরু করতে বলবো তখন শুরু করবেন, আর যখন আমি বলবো স্টপ তখন স্টপ করবেন, রাইট? সো अगेन আমি আপনাদেরকে রিকোয়েস্ট করব সব সাবজেক্টগুলো বলতে। We're going to start together and we're going to finish together. So please unmute yourself one more time. Unmute yourself. 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start.
I, we, you, they, he, she, it.
Thank you.
I.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So now I'm gonna give you another definition of success, right? Success is not in learning, but in execution, right? Let me repeat it. Success is not about in learning. Success is not in learning, but in execution. What I mean by that is you can learn so much things, right? From here and there. And if you don't implement it, you're gonna get the results, right? So all you got to do is you got to learn something, you need to implement it, and you need to expect for the result. And this is how you're gonna get success. It has to be three things in all together: learning, implement, and result. Learning, implement, and result, right? So this is how we got to do. So now I have given you all the subjects. This time, what are you gonna do? You're gonna practice a little bit in a different angle. What I'm gonna do, we're gonna make all the subjects in one breath. How many breaths are you gonna take? Type in the chat box. কতটা নিঃশ্বাস নেব সবগুলো সাবজেক্ট বলতে? Please type in the chat box. We're gonna take only one breath to speak about all the subjects, right? Please type in the chat box how many breaths we're gonna take. কতগুলো breath নিব আমরা? কতগুলো নিঃশ্বাস নিব? Just one, right? So once I say go, you got to give me the whole sentence in one breath. And you can't take another breath until you say all of this, right? Are you ready? And if you haven't got, some sort of water around you, I always recommend you take a sip of water, stay hydrated, and practice a lot with us, right? So now, what I'm gonna do, I will again. So please unmute yourself. 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so all you got to do is we need to, okay, now I need to check someone else. So now, Shohag Hossain, can you please unmute yourself and give me all the subjects in one breath? Shohag, সবগুলো subject একটা নিঃশ্বাসে বলেন তো।
I, we, you, they, he, she, it, Tony.
Excellent, thank you. Please type in the chat box. Thanks, Shohag. So Abir, can you please unmute yourself and give me all the subjects in one breath?
Yes, sure. I, we, you, they, he, she, it, Tony.
Okay. Thank you. Please type in the chat box. Thanks, Abir. Right. So this is how we're gonna practice. Now, who is really afraid of speaking in English, especially in public speaking? Please type in the chat box me. I'd like to see how many of you really scared of speaking in front of the public. I'd like to see. If you are one of them, please type in the chat box me. Type in the chat box me. I'd like to see. How many of you really scared of speaking in front of public? All right. So if you're really scared, now what are you gonna do? We're gonna fight against it, right? We're gonna fight against the fear. So how are we gonna fight it? We're gonna punch, right? Like this. So now I feel like I need to bring up the energy for a minute, and then we're gonna jump into the next one. So please stand up. I'd like to see everyone else stand up. Yeah, stand up. So what are you gonna do? We'll fight against the fear, right? So how are we gonna fight it? Okay. So this is how we're gonna fight. So, right? So stand up, and then once I say 3, 2, 1, go. So you just keep starting punching, right? Like this, right? Are you ready? Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start. Right? Let me see how many of you. Okay. So this is how You need to start pouncing when you are scared, right? So now what are you gonna do? We're gonna practice a little bit as I'm sharing with you. We're gonna learn a little bit, we're gonna implement it, and we're gonna see the result. So this is how we're gonna go, right? Learning, implementing, and getting the result. Take your seat. Sit down, please. So now I'm gonna share with you a little bit of practice, how we're gonna do it. Then we're gonna start together and we're gonna go. So today we're gonna practice a little bit with be verb, right? So if you understand what is be verb, please type in the chat box am is are in the present form. Type in the chat box present form is am is are. Just type in the chat box am is are. So three things, am is are. Yeah, these are the present form of be verb, right? Yeah, I'd like to see everyone's comment. Please type in the chat box am is are. Right, so if I ask you, what's the past form of be verb? Type in the chat box. What's the past form of be verb? Be verb past form key, please type in the chat box. Was, where. Yeah, I'd like to see everyone's comment. Please type in the chat box very quickly. Was and where. Excellent, excellent. So play full, right? Play 100%. Don't waste your time sitting here. So, okay, excellent. Thanks for answering. And what's the future form of be verb? Please type in the chat box. Future form. So shall be or will be. We're gonna take will be, right? So will be. That's the future form of be verb. So now, what are we gonna do? We're gonna try to make a sentence, because in speaking, so all you got to do is you need to know how to make sentences, right? So if you know how to make a lot of sentences, then if you deliver, that's called speaking. It's really simple. It's easy. Let me recap. So if you'd like to be a good speaker, you need to know how to make sentences. And if you know how to make sentences and if you can deliver, that's called speaking, right? যদি আপনি ভালো স্পিকার হতে চান, first of all, আপনাকে জানতে হবে কিভাবে সেন্টেন্স মেক করতে হয়, and if you know how to deliver them, that's called speaking, right? So do you understand me? If you understood me, please type in the chat box understood. Please type in the chat box understood. I'd like to see how many of you really understood. Okay, got it. So now we're gonna make a lot of sentences. So let's start with the first subject, I, right? So if I would like to make a lot of sentences, so I am, then I need to put in a. So I am a student. If I'd like to make a sentence in past form, so I was a student. And if you'd like to make a sentence in future form, I'd like to make I will be a student. So very quickly, can you please write down three sentences? I am a student, I was a student, and I will be a student. Please type in the chat box. Three sentences together, right? So, okay, it's better if you write down fast sentences, right? So I'm a student. Okay, I'm a student. So once you finish, I was a student and I will be a student, right? So I am a student, I was a student, and I will be a student. Write down. Please type in the chat box very quickly. Three sentences. I'm a student, I was a student, I'll be a student, right? I'm a student, I was a student, I will be a student. Please write down three sentences together. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. So I'm a student, I was a student, I will be a student. So now what I'm gonna do, I will unmute yourself and I'll ask you to give me the three sentences using I. All you got to do is you need to give me just three sentences. So once I say 3, 2, 1, go, you got to give me three sentences. Are you ready? If you're ready, please type in chat box ready. I'd like to see how many of you are really ready to give me three sentences all together. Okay, excellent. So your speaking has been started. All you got to do is you need to follow this thing. So if you follow this trend at the end of this session, I mean 7 days speaking challenge, you will see you have started speaking and you never ever stop, right? So all you got to do is you got to start from the very beginning. If you miss something from the very beginning, you'll be struggling. So I would recommend you please play full. So now I'm gonna unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself 3, 2, 1, go.
I am a student. I was a student.
I was a student.
I am a student. I was a student. I will be a student.
Thank you. Thank you. So now we're gonna run a bit faster. What I mean by that is not the physical running. So now you need to give me these 3 sentences 3 times. How many times? 3 times in one breath. So this is how I'd like to say how long is your breath, right? So all you got to do is you need to give me 3 sentences 3 times in one breath. So 3টা সেন্টেন্স দিতে হবে আমাকে 3 বার এক নিঃশ্বাসে। Are you ready? So if you are ready, please type in the chat box 3 sentences 3 times one breath. I'd like to see. Please type in the chat box. Please type in the chat box. I'd like to see 3 sentences 3 times one breath. Don't type ready. Please type in the chat box 3 sentences 3 times one breath. Yeah, that's right. Ibrahim, thank you. Thanks for sharing. Azum, thank you. Musa, thank you. Shohag, thank you. So not times, T-I-M-E-S. 3 times means 3 bar, right? So 3 times. 3 sentences 3 times one breath, not 3 breaths, right? In one breath. So 3 sentences 3 times in one breath. So now I'd like to show you how you're gonna do it. So you're gonna say, I'm a student, I was a student, I'll be a student. I'm a student, I was a student, I'll be a student. I'm a student, I was a student, I'll be a student. Got it? So 3 sentences 3 times one breath. So now I'm gonna unmute yourself and you need to give me 9 sentences in one breath, right? So 3 sentences 3 times one breath. So please unmute yourself. 3, 2, 1, go.
Student, I was a student. I'll be a student. I'm a student. I was a student. I'll be a student. I was a student. I'll be a student. I was a student. I will be a student. I am a student.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that, right? So you have started speaking. Now we're gonna practice with you, right? And probably might have a question why I have put 2 you, right? So the first one, you, is one person. That means to me, ba apni. And the second one, you, is plural, more than one. That means to me, tomra ba apnara. So that's why I put 2 yous together, right? So however, we're gonna practice with you. So for example, the first one person. So you are a student, you were a student, you will be a student, right? 3 sentences. You are a student, you were a student, you will be a student. 3 sentences. Can you please type in the chat box 3 sentences together using you? I'd like to see how many of you can put 3 sentences together very quickly. Very quickly. So you are a student, you were a student, you will be a student, right? So present, you are a student at Hasselhoff Education, you were a student of a primary school, and you will be a student of XYZ University, right? So 3 sentences together. Please type in the chat box. You are a student right now at Hasselhoff Education, you were a student of XYZ primary school, and you will be a student of XYZ private university, right? So please type in the chat box. Type in the chat box. Okay, got it. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Thank you. So now, what are you gonna do? You need to give me 3 sentences 3 times in one breath. So all you got to do is you got to give me all together 9 sentences, right? So how are you gonna do that? I'm gonna show you first. Then you got to do the same. So you are a student, you were a student, you will be a student. You are a student, you are a student, you will be a student. You are a student, you are a student, you will be a student, right? So 9 sentences together. I'm gonna unmute yourself. So please unmute yourself. 3, 2, 1. Okay, let me find it, the button. Okay, please unmute yourself and give me 9 sentences using you. Please unmute yourself. 3, 2, 1.
You are a student, you are a student, you will be a student.
You are a student. You are a
Student,
student.
you are a student, you are a student, you will be a
You
student.
are a student.
You are a
And you
student,
are a
you will
student.
be a
You will be a
student, you will
student.
be a student,
You are a
you
student.
are a
Okay, thanks for sharing. So next on, I'm gonna start with he, right? He. So if I use he as a subject, so he is a student, he was a student, he will be a student, right? He is a student, he was a student, he will be a student. To make it meaningful sentence, I can say he is a student at Hasselhoff Education right now. He was a student of XYZ primary school, and he will be a student at Birmingham City University, right? So these are the 3 sentences you can make. So all you got to do is you need to give me 3 sentences together, right? So I'm gonna unmute yourself again. So please unmute yourself and give me 9 sentences together. So 3 sentences 3 times in one breath. Are you ready? I'd like to see how many of you are really ready. If you're really ready, please type in the chat box ready. R-E-A-D-Y. Okay, very quickly. Type in the chat box ready. Okay, thanks for typing. So now please unmute yourself and give me three sentences using he. So please unmute yourself. 3, 2, 1.
He is a student.
A student, he was a student, he will be a student. He is a student, he was a student, he will be a student. He will be a student, he will be a student. He was a student, he will be.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So I need a volunteer. So Afros, can you please unmute yourself and give me 9 sentences together?
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
He's a student, he was a student, he will be a student. He's a student, he was a student, he will be a student. He's a student, he was a student, he will be a student.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Please type in the chat box. Thanks, Afros. Okay, I need another volunteer. So Lizan Ahmed, can you please unmute yourself and give me 9 sentences together? I'm not sure either I pronounce your name right. Lizan Ahmed or Lizan Ahmed? Lizan, can you please unmute yourself? Yeah, please unmute. Click the button to unmute.
He is a student, he was a student, he would be a student. He is a student, he was a student, he would be a student. He is a student, he was a student, he would be a student.
Okay. How many breaths have you taken?
Ji?
How many breaths have you taken?
I have taken 4 breaths.
So you are supposed to say all the sentences in one breath, right? So thank you anyway. So please type in the chat box. Okay, got it. So thank you. Please type in the chat box. Thanks, Lijan. Right. So the last one, we're gonna practice with Tony. Tony, right? This is my favorite name, Tony. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna make 9 sentences using Tony. Tony is a student, Tony was a student, Tony will be a student. Tony is a student, Tony was a student, Tony will be a student. Tony is a student, Tony was a student, Tony will be a student, right? So this is how we need to practice. So now, can you please write down 3 sentences using Tony? I'd like to make sure if everyone can make all the sentences. Please type in the chat box 3 sentences. Tony is a student, Tony was a student, Tony will be a student. Quickly, very quickly, I'd like to see. Tony is a student, Tony was a student, Tony will be a student. Yeah, very quickly, please type in the chat box. Yeah. So 3 sentences together. Thank you. Thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you, Habibur. Thank you, Shuzan. Thank you, Afros. Thank you, Masood. Thank you, Wahid. Okay, so all I need is 3 sentences together. Three sentences together, right? 3 sentences together. Okay, excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. So now, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Just we're gonna practice a little bit. And first of all, I'm gonna show you how to practice. Then I'll request to do so. And then we're gonna jump into the next session, right? So we're gonna make a lot of sentences using we're gonna make 3 sentences, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, right? So 27 sentences we're gonna make together. Type in the chat box how many sentences we're gonna make together. Type in the chat box. How many sentences we're gonna make together. Type in the chat box, please. I'd like to see. Yeah, that's right, Sumaya. Tanim, that's right. Shibli, that's right. So we're gonna make 27 sentences together, right? So once we start, we're not gonna stop until we make 27, right? সবাই আমরা একসাথে শুরু করব, থামবো না যতক্ষণ পর্যন্ত না আমরা 27 sentences make করি, right? So now I'm gonna show you. You don't have to say all of this in one breath, but we're gonna keep going, right? আমরা বলতে থাকবো. We shouldn't stop. So this is how we're gonna start. I'm a student, I was a student, I'll be a student. We are students, we are students, we will be students. You are a student, you are a student, you will be a student. You were students, you are students, you will be students. They are students, they were students, they will be students. He was a student, he is a student, he will be a student. She was a student, she is a student, she will be a student. Tony was a student, Tony is a student, Tony will be a student, right? So this is how we're gonna make 27 sentences together, right? So are you really excited to make 27 sentences together? If you're really excited, please type in chat box excited. I'd like to see how many of you are really excited to make 27 sentences together. Can you remember I said, so the more you speak, the better speaker you become. The more you speak, the better speaker you become, right? So all you got to do is you need to, when you get the opportunity, you need to start speaking. So all I'm gonna do is I need to unmute yourself, right? So I'm gonna unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself and give me 27 sentences together, right? So please unmute yourself. 3, 2, 1.
I'm a student, I was a student, I was a student.
I was a student.
Student,
We
will
were
be student, will be student.
you were a student.
My favorite friend, they will be student. They are a student.
They was a student.
She was a student.
He is a student, he was a student, he will be a student.
She was a student.
She was a student. She
Student, Tony
will
was
be
a
student.
student. Tony
Tony
was a
is
student. Tony will be a student.
Student,
Tony
it was a
will be
student, it
student.
was a
Tony was a student. Tony will
Tony
be
is a student,
student.
Tony was a student, Tony will be a student.
Tony was a student.
Thank you. So can you please type in the chat box, how many sentences have you made? Type in the chat box. I'm really curious to see. Did you make 27, 25, 20, 15? How many? Just put the number, please. How many sentences have you made? Okay, so Mehdi said 14, Jamshid said 27, 23, 27, okay. Sujan Malik is 24. Okay, Lieutenant says 24. Okay, got it. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. So now, you know, the interesting thing of this software Zoom is I can track you if you're practicing or not. And now the question is how, right? Yeah, I can see whether you practice or not. So all you got to do is you need to turn on, you need to unmute yourself. So once you unmute yourself and once you're speaking, so there is a sign like mic and it started vibrating. If you don't speak, it doesn't vibrate. So I can understand that whether you are speaking or not. So this time we're gonna give you the opportunity to everyone else and make sure you unmute yourself and you're practicing with me and your mic is vibrating, right? So can you do that? I'm asking, can you do that? If you can, please type in the chat box, yes, I can. I'd like to see how many of you can do that. Type in the chat box. So যারা আমার সাথে প্র্যাকটিস করতেছেন না, I really understand আপনি প্র্যাকটিস করতেছেন না. So this is how. যদি আপনি প্র্যাকটিস করেন তাহলে আপনার মাইকের মতো আপনার নামের পাশে যে সিম্বল, that's vibrating, right? And I can see you are speaking. And if you don't speak, it doesn't vibrate. So all I want from you is unmute yourself and let's start speaking. আপনি যদি এখন থেকে স্পিকিং না করেন, আমাদের সাথে প্র্যাকটিস না করেন, at the end of 2-3 classes, right? You'll be struggling because we are building the foundation right now. And then we're gonna go first floor, second floor, third floor, you know. So this is how you got to practice with me, right? So again, I'm gonna unmute yourself. So please unmute yourself and give me 27 sentences together this time. So please unmute yourself and be honest with yourself. Please unmute yourself. 3, 2, 1, go.
I was a
Student,
We are a student.
student,
We are a student.
you are a student, you are a student, you will be student.
You are a student. You are a student.
Student,
student, he was a student,
He is a student. She was a
student,
student.
she is a student,
It
he was
was
a
a
student, she will
student.
be student.
Student.
Student,
Will be a student.
student,
Tony was a student. Will be a student. I'm a student. I was a student. I will be a student. We are a student. We
Thank you.
student.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So now, we're gonna go to the next session. And before that, I think we need to bring some sort of energy within yourself. So now what are we gonna do? We're gonna run again, right? We're gonna run again. And after running, we're gonna go into the next session. So who is ready to run? Please type in the chat box RUN. I'd like to see how many of you are really excited to run with me. So you're gonna run for, let's say, 1 minute. Then we're gonna jump back into the session, and then we're gonna do a presentation. Then we're gonna finish the class, right? So okay, a lot of people are really excited to run. Thank you. So now what I'm gonna do, I'll just play a bit of music so that you can run with me. Okay. Let me. Okay. So are we ready? If you're ready, please start run with me, right? 3, 2, 1, go. Run. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start. Stop. Run. Yep. Thanks for running with me. Yeah, run. Keep running. A bit faster. Yeah, keep running. Stand up and running. Yeah, don't sit there. Stand up. Yeah, keep running. Yeah. Run, keep running. Thank you. So now we're gonna go to the next session. Let me find out the Zoom. Okay, got it. Thank you. So now what are you gonna do? Using the be verb, would like to make a lot of sentences. And before that, how many of you got a run? Type in the chat box. I'd like to see specifically how many of you really enjoyed running. Type in the chat box, enjoyed. I'd like to see. Right? So we've got lots of energy right now. We are in the peak state. Now we're gonna crash in the next session, right? So please type in the chat box how many of you really enjoyed running. If you enjoyed it, please type in the chat box, yes, I did. I'd like to see. I'd like to see your comment, okay? Okay, Tashfik said, yeah. Ribon said, yes, I did. Chuck said, yes, I did. Okay, excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. So now I'm going to ask you a few things. Okay. So in this lesson, we have learned how to speak using the be verb, right? How to speak using the be verb. So now, if I ask you, what's your name? Can you please answer me using the be verb? Type in the chat box. If I ask you, what's your name? Please type in the chat box. What should be your answer using the be verb? শুধুমাত্র be verb use করে কিভাবে আপনি আনসার করতে পারেন আপনার নাম কি? Please type in the chat box. Type in the chat box. Okay, so Sumaya said, my name is Sumaya Sumi. Okay, I'm Mahabub, I'm Shibli, I'm Tony. My name's, okay, I'm Tashfiq. Okay, type in the chat box. I'd like to see everyone comment. I'd like to see everyone else comment. Please type in the chat box. How can you say that using be verb? What's your name? Excellent. Excellent. So if you ask me the same thing, I'll say, my name is Habib. Okay, the next thing I'm going to ask you. So where are you originally from? For example, if you ask me where I'm originally from, I would say, I'm from Bangladesh. Type in the chat box. It might be your town. It might be your city. I'm from Borishal. I'm from Dhaka. I'm from Narayanganj. I'm from Sylhet. Type in the chat box. Type in the chat box. Type in the chat box. Okay, excellent. Excellent. Thanks for sharing. So where are you originally from? Okay, I'm from Dhaka. Okay, Remy said from Bangladesh. Sharmin said from Dhaka. Okay, Siddiq said from Sylhet. Okay, thanks for sharing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Right, so right now, I'm a resident of UK. Type in the chat box. How are you going to say that? I'm a resident of UK, right? I'm a resident of UK. Type in the chat box. What you can say? I'm a resident of, type in the chat box. I'm a resident of. So, okay, you got to tell your thing, right? So, apni kon jaga resident, you got to say that. So, after said I'm resident of Dhaka. Okay, excellent, thank you. Okay. Okay, yeah, if you're a resident of Dhaka, please type in chat box, I'm a resident of Dhaka, I'm a resident of Bangladesh, whatever. I'm a resident of Patuakhali, I'm a resident of Chattogram. Okay, excellent, thank you. Thank you. Next question I'm gonna ask you. So we are playing with be verbs, right? So what's your father? Apnar baba ki koren? Please type in the chat box. If you ask me the same question, I would say my father was a high school teacher and he's late, right? So please type in the chat box, what's your father? Okay, Mehdi said he's a banker. Okay, Robbie said he's a painter, farmer, teacher. Okay, thank you. Thanks for sharing. Please type in the chat box. If you don't type in the chat box, once we go to the next session, you'll be struggling. You will see you're struggling. Everyone is performing well, but you can't do this because you miss the practice session. So that's why if I tell you something, just do it right now. So what's your father? Please type in the chat box. Okay, excellent. Okay, Tamim said my father is an accountant of a private school. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Zubair said my father is a farmer. Okay, thank you. So next question is, what's your mother? So if she's a homemaker, please type in the chat box. My mom is a homemaker. My mother is a homemaker. She's a homemaker. If she does some sort of job, please type in the chat box. So if you ask me the same thing, I would say my mother was a primary school teacher, right? So what's your mother? Type in the chat box, please. Okay, excellent, excellent. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Keep going, right? Okay, okay, excellent, excellent. So the next question I'm going to ask you, what do you do? What's your profession, right? So if you ask me, I'll say I'm a teacher, right? I'm a businessman, I'm an entrepreneur. So what's your identity? Type in the chat box. Okay, a lot of are saying I'm a student. Okay. Okay, so what's your occupation? What's your profession? Please type in the chat box. Type in the chat box. What's your profession? Type in the chat box very quickly. Very quickly. Type in the chat box. What's your profession? Okay, got it? Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Thank you. Okay. 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 Next one is. So what was the name of your primary school? So for me, so we are trying to make a sentence using the past form. right? So I was a student of XYZ primary school. Please type in the chat box. So what primary school did you belong to? Type in the chat box. Which primary school did you study? So for example, for me, I was a student of XYZ primary school. Please type in the chat box. What's the name of your primary school was? Okay. So Mehdi said I was a student of Kilgon Primary School. I was a student of, okay. So I'd like to see, yeah. What's the name of your primary school? Type in the chat box, please. Very quickly. I'd like to see very quickly. Everyone's answer. Yeah, go, keep going. Okay, thank you. So next one I'm gonna ask you is about your hobby, right? So what's your hobby? If you ask me the same question, I would say my hobbies are traveling and teaching. What's your hobby? Please type in the chat box. If it is 1, then my hobby is traveling. If it is 2, then my hobbies are traveling and teaching, right? Okay, so Musa said my hobby is eating out. Okay, I love eating as well, Musa. I think I should meet you. Okay, Mehdi said my hobby is reading. Okay, excellent. Is helping poor people. Okay, excellent. My hobbies are web. Okay, excellent. Keep going. My hobby is traveling. Okay, my hobby is singing. Okay, anybody else? I'd like to say my hobbies are playing cricket, gardening, and da. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Next one, I'm gonna ask you, what's your future plan? So my future plan is to help millions of students to speak English fluently. What's your future plan? Type in the chat box. If you ask me the same question, my answer is my future plan is to help millions of students to speak English fluently. What's your future plan? Type in the chat box, please. What's your future plan? Type in the chat box very quickly. My future plan is to be a businessman. Excellent answer. My future plan is to be a teacher. Excellent answer. Okay, I'd like to see what's your future plan. Keep going very quickly. Keep going. Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Okay, now what I'm gonna do, I will pull out my presentation, and here I go. So these are the, okay, so number 7 is family members, right? This sentence is a bit different. So for example, for me, I would say 7, right? Family members. So there are 7 family members in my family. There are 7 members in my family. Type in the chat box, how many family members? Type in the chat box, how many members are there in your family? So if you ask me the same question, I would say there are 7 members in my family. Type in the chat box, what's yours? Yeah, very quickly. There are 3 members in my family. Okay, excellent. Okay, so there are 5 members. Okay, excellent. Thank you. So now you see, using the be verb, how we can introduce yourself. So if you ask me, Habib, introduce yourself, I would say, hi everyone, my name is Habib, and I'm from Borishal, Bangladesh. Now I'm a resident of UK. I'm a teacher. My father was a high school teacher and my mom was a primary school teacher. There are 7 members in my family, and I was a student of Kashamabad Sharkari Primary School. And my hobbies are traveling and teaching. And my future plan is to help millions of students to speak English fluently. Thanks for listening. What did I say at the last? Thanks for listening. Can you please type in the chat box what I just said? Thanks for listening. Type in the chat box. Thanks for listening. So the same way you got to start. You say, well, now I'd like to introduce myself. My name is da 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 da, and you're gonna finish in number 10, and then you say thanks for listening. Can you do that? So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna practice this introducing yourself, because this is so important. If you'd like to, grab a job, if you are going for an interview, the first question they're gonna ask you to introduce yourself, right? And even if you are thinking about, studying at UK, US, or Canadian university, once you have got an interview with university staff or home office who is giving you the visa, the first question they'll ask you, okay, yeah, introduce yourself. tell us a little bit about yourself. That's the first question. So if you can keep continuing with this answer, that means by this time you adapt with the environment, and the next answer question would be easier to answer, right? So that's why all you got to do is you need to practice it. Now this is the time to practice. So what I'm gonna do, I will unmute yourself, everyone else, and I'd like to request you to give this presentation. So we're gonna start 3, 2, 1, go. And then just say, hi everyone, my name is Habib. I'm from Bangladesh. I'm a resident of UK. I'm a teacher right now. My father was a high school teacher. My mother was a primary school teacher. There are 7 members in my family, and I was a student of Kashamat Gop Primary School. And my hobbies are traveling and teaching, and my future plan is to help millions of students to speak English fluently. Thanks for listening. Can you do that? Can you give a presentation? Type in the chat box, yes, if you can. I'd like to see how many of you can give a presentation right now. Type in the chat box. Type in the chat box, please. How many of you would like to give a presentation right now, right? So excellent, thank you. So now we're gonna practice. So what I'm gonna do, I will unmute yourself, all of them, and I'll request you to practice with me. Once I say go, you got to give me all the sentences, and at the end you need to say thanks for listening, right? So please unmute yourself. 3, 2, 1, go.
And I'm a student of Bangladesh. And I'm a student, and my father is a student.
Hobbies are traveling and reading.
There are
Main is
best neighbors.
main is in my
I'm
listening
student of Bangladesh, and
English,
my hobbies are traveling.
reading,
Hobbies are to travel over the world.
Thanks a lot. So now, all you got to do is you need to give me all the sentences using one breath. How many breaths are you gonna take? Please type in chat box. All you need to do is you need to give me all the 10 sentences using one breath. Please type in the chat box. Type in the chat box, please. Please type in the chat box how many breaths. Type in the chat box. I'd like to see. Okay. Abdullah said 6. I'm not sure why did you say that to make 10 sentences. So if you are, it's like headless chicken. If you don't have any target, you are going nowhere, right? So for example, now let me tell some sort of stories from my life, right? So when I graduated and post-graduated from University of Sidogong, and I was trying to have, different things, like try to get a job in government sector, private sector, and all that stuff. However, that made me frustrated. Then I made the decision that, okay, what if I study at UK University and, receive some sort of certificate or qualification. Then if I came back to Bangladesh, probably I'm gonna get a better job. The competition would be less, because when the employers, they're gonna see the qualification from UK, probably I would be accepted more, right? So I made a target and I work on it, and just I made it, right? So the same thing you got to do is you got to have a target, you got to work on it, and you're gonna achieve it, right? And if you don't have any sort of target, you're going nowhere. I have seen a lot of friends of mine, right? They are so brilliant, but unfortunately they couldn't go anywhere else, because the only thing is they haven't got any target, right? So how many of you started what is called practicing English, and you were insulted many times from your friends, colleagues, peers? Type in the chat box me if that is your. I'd like to see how many of you have started speaking or started practicing English, and some of you have insulted a lot, and it feels, so bad inside, right? So if you feel like that, that means you have started really something good. So now I'm going to talk about myself. So when I was a student of University of Chittagong, right? And once, probably another day, I'll share with you why I have started learning English. So the moment I have started learning English and I have started practicing with some of my friends, and exactly, they did the same thing. They said, are you going to India to do IELTS, right? They started laughing at me, da 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 da. I'd like to go anymore. So what happened in reality is I'm in the UK, I'm settled in the UK, I'm doing a business. I have got 27 employees in my company, right? And yeah, so I didn't take the revenge. My work, that shocked them, right? So this is how you got to do. So if you're really insulted with someone else for practicing English, that means you got to understand that, well, I'm on the right track. I'm doing something really good, right? So that's how you need to feel. So now, so this is the practice we're going to do one more time. And then I'm going to give you some sort of homework. And the homework has to be done within 5 minutes, right? I'm not going to give a lot of time to do it, because the more time I'm going to give you, you're going to delay more. So it's going to be easier to do once we practice a little bit more. Then we're going to jump into somewhere else. We're going to do the homework and we're going to finish it, and we're going to show up tomorrow. So now what I'm going to do, I will unmute yourself one more time, and you need to give me all the sentences using one breath, right? Using just one breath. Are you ready? Please unmute yourself. 3, 2, 1, go.
My name is
I'm from Dhaka. I'm
My name is Safwan. I'm from
student
Bangladesh.
of
Came to
Dhaka.
Bangladesh.
Father is a
Introduced to my
businessman
father
and
is
my
an
mother is
actor.
a
My mother is
homemaker. I'm a
also my
student.
family.
I was a student
Work in a public
school.
school
My
in
hobby is
Bangladesh.
the
I have
traveling and
four
reading.
people. My
Future plan is to
future
become
plan
a
is
good human being. There are 5 members in my
make
family.
Thank you. So thank you. So I need a volunteer.
just come.
I want to be successful.
I need a volunteer. So Jahangir Alam, can you please unmute yourself, Jahangir Alam? And yeah, so introduce yourself. Jahangir, can you please unmute yourself? Yeah. Jahangir, শুনতে পাচ্ছেন? Okay, Jahangir, we can't hear you. Sorry. I think Sirin Rahman, can you please unmute yourself and introduce yourself? Very quickly. Okay. Not available.
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So introduce
Okay,
yourself.
Okay, this is Sharin Rahman. My hometown is Tangal. I'm from Bangladesh. And in profession, I'm a private service holder. My father is an engineer. My mother is a homemaker. There are 4 members in my family. In my primary school, I was in University Government Girls High School. My hobby is cooking. My future plan to be settled down in abroad. And thanks for hearing.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Can you please type in the chat box? Thanks, Irene. So, Robbie, can you please unmute yourself and introduce yourself? Robbie, you need to click to unmute. Robbie, can you hear us? Okay, so Tripti Borua, can you please unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, this is Tripti. I am from Chittagong. I am resident of Bangladesh. I'm a student. My father is a teacher. My mother is a homemaker. There are 4 members in my family. My primary school name is BHH Government School. My favorite hobby is traveling. My future plan is to be help the poor.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for sharing. Can you please type in the chat box? Thanks, Tripti. So what are you gonna do? We're gonna unmute yourself one more time, and we're gonna go through, and then we're gonna go for homework. So please unmute yourself and give a presentation with me one more time. Please unmute yourself. 3.
First time I'm counting.
My phone is charging.
My future plan is to be Thanks for listening.
Thank you. So all you have practice is this, the presentation, right? So what I'm gonna do, I will I'll give you a link of a page. It's called STUDY study in. Okay, let me go to my Facebook. So this is the group, IELTS and study in the UK, Canada, and USA, right? So all you got to do is you need to go there. Okay, you need to stop sharing. Okay, so all you got to do is I'm gonna put the link into the chat box. Here you go. So all you need to do is you need to give this presentation to this Facebook group. So you're gonna pick up the phone, you're gonna hold like this, right? So this is the best position, like this, and then just press the button and you're gonna say, hi, my name is Habib and I'm from Bangladesh. I'm a resident of the UK. My father was a high school teacher. My mother was a primary school teacher. And I was a student of XYZ primary school. My hobbies are traveling and teaching. And my future plan is to help millions of students to speak English fluently with confidence. Thanks for listening to me, right? So this is how I need to do it. So all you got to do is you need to click the link. You need to go there. And once you go there, so you need to click on post and you'll see the live button. Press the button live over there and give a presentation, and that's finished. Post on the Facebook group. That's the first thing, right? And the second step is once you uploaded your video, you need to watch some of the videos from your colleagues, from your classmates, and need to comment positively. Thank you. Thanks for your video. It was awesome, right? Brilliant, outstanding. So these sort of comments you need to put, because you know, in this world, there are a lot of lack of positive people out there. So if you start doing something very good, you will see a lot of haters. They'll come to you and they'll say a lot of negative things, right? So that's why you need to have the like-minded people, positive people. Now, I'm going to share with you one more thing, what I have learned from Tony Robbins. He said, you're the average of 7 people. You are the most time you're spending with. Let me rephrase it. You are the average of seven people whom you are spending most of the time. That means, so if you are spending time with the crookers, addicted people, you become addicted. If you are hanging out with the wealthy people, you become wealthy. If you are spending time with great people, you become great. And if you're spending time with losers, you become losers, right? It's really easy. So you are here for a reason, and I understand you are here to become a better speaker. So if you'd like to be a better speaker, all you got to do is you need to hang around with the better speaking people. So all you got to do is you need to click that button link. You need to go there and you need to click the post. And then once you click the post, you'll see live button. Press the live button, do a Facebook Live, introduce yourself. That's it. Once you have done this, the second step is look around how many people have uploaded their video, went to the live, right? So watch their videos. And that's going to inspire you a lot as well. So let's say you have watched 5 videos right? So 3 of them, they perform better than you, right? So now you can take some sort of inspiration, motivation that, okay, these people, they speak so nice, right? So, well, they have used these words, that words, so I can use them as well. So you are learning from each other as well. And the second thing is, sometimes you feel so bad, and in that case, you'll see 1 or 2 people, they couldn't speak, and you can take some sort of inspiration or feedback as well. Well, this person, so he or she is not a better speaker, but he or she is trying a lot to be a better speaker, right? So if he can do that, I can do that as well. So now, to recap, the whole thing is, can you remember from the very beginning, I said, I barely passed in SSC in English subject, right? So, kono mote SSC te pass korechi English. Second thing is, SSC the same way. However, I managed to get myself to a position right where I am right now. So, if I can do it, you can do it. Please type in the chat box. Type in the chat box. If you can do it, I can do it. I'd like to see how many of you are really motivated and influenced by getting a lot of stories from my life. Type in the chat box. If you can do it, I can do it. Right? Type in the chat box. So, thank you. Thank you. Type in the chat box. So, listen, I think you have got a question. Please fire away. Unmute yourself, please. And what's your question? Okay, so if you've got any questions, please type in the chat box or wave. I'd like to unmute yourself and I'll answer you. Otherwise, we're gonna finish it here. Do you have any questions? Type in the chat box. Do you have any questions? Type in the chat box. Any questions? I'd like to see if you've got any questions. Or you can just wave your hand so that I can see you and I can unmute yourself. Any questions at all? No, no more questions at all. Okay, excellent. Thank you. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, all you got to do is you need to click that button. You need to go to, I'm gonna put the link again. So all you got to do is you need to click this button right now. You need to go to this Facebook group. You need to pick up your phone right now. And you need to do a live and you need to introduce yourself. That's the homework I have given you. So probably Nafiza has shared with you. If you'd like to claim your certificate, all you got to do is you need to finish your homework and you need to submit it. Once you claim the certificate, we're gonna count how many homeworks have you done. If you have done all the homeworks, you deserve a certificate, right? Thanks for listening and watching to me, and see you tomorrow at the same time, same place. Allah Hafiz.